Hey, this is Cornelius here. Thank you so much for being on my YouTube channel. Yesterday my wife and I had the opportunity and the honor of celebrating 5 years. So 5 years ago yesterday, we planted a church in Atlanta, Georgia called the Gathering Oasis Church. And I tell you, man, being church planters, being first generation preachers, I mean, it has been a very lonely, very tough journey along the way, but nevertheless, it's been very rewarding and very fulfilling. And I had somebody to ask me the question. They were saying, Cornelius, like, what do you think was probably the toughest thing that you learned throughout the 5 years? And there are some things that I did learn throughout the 5 years. Like, number one, I have seen God do more with people who had less. I don't know if you understand that, and kind of what I'm saying here is not necessarily meaning that people have to have less for God to do more with them, but I've just seen in my experience that God has done more with people who have had less. When I say less, I'm talking about, they may not have the type of education other people have. They may not have the type of professional experience. They may not have the type of money some other people have, but I've just seen God do more with people who have less. Because typically you will see that people who have less of certain things or certain possessions, they usually possess more faith. And because they really have nothing else, no one else to lean on and to depend on. When we planted the church, we didn't have churches backing us. We didn't have a big pocket of money to go to say this is how we can do all these things right. We're really going off of faith. It was, God, faith is my currency. If you've told me to do it, then obviously I got to believe that you're telling me to do it. And I've just seen over the years, I've seen God do more with those who seem to have less. It's like, man, you seem like you don't have anything to stand on, but God just comes through for those who have faith to believe that if you definitely told me to do it, then I know that you'll give me the faith to continue through it. I know that you'll see me along the way. Another thing I've learned, I think, in the past 5 years is that, failure is a part of the process. It's a part of the process. And I know you may be thinking, oh, we don't necessarily fail. We just learn different ways on not to succeed. Whichever way you want to put it, it's still one of the things I've really grasped by the last 5 years is failure is part of the process. We planted the church in 2013 in Atlanta. But in 2011, my wife and I were living in Jackson, Mississippi, and I believe, hey, God, you want us to plant this church. He gave me the vision for the church in 2009. I started ministry, I started preaching in 2009. He gave me the vision for it in 2009. In 2011, I thought, you know what, I'm ready to run with it, I'm ready to go. So we were in Jackson, Mississippi, we rented out a venue, we did all of these things that we thought were really, really cool, that we really thought we needed to do. We had marketing, we did all this stuff, and we're gonna have it on the Easter Sunday in 2011. And at that Easter service, I think there were like 7 people who showed up. That includes, my wife and I. My wife led worship, and my wife has many talents, many skills, many gifts, but singing is not one of them. She just Kirk Franklin that thing. She was like, "Come on, y'all, lift up your hands and sing." And I was looking out behind the curtain like, ain't nobody else here but like my mom and my sister and my niece and my nephew, and they were both asleep on the second row. Then there was like this other couple who like showed up like halfway through, and I mean, it was a complete travesty. I remember leaving from that service thinking like, God, I failed. Like, I believe you called me to do this. I believe that you have set this before me. I know you called for me to plant churches. I know you called for me to share your word and share your message, but I just don't feel like this is going in the direction that you want me to go in. And so we had the service there again, and nobody showed up that time. And then subsequently from that, we started doing, small groups. We started, having service in like college dormitories, and we would like rent out classrooms in the colleges. Then the people just weren't showing up. We rent out hotel conference spaces and all these different things, and the people just weren't showing up. And I kept feeling this sense of insecurity, like, God, I've failed, and I'm not understanding what is it that you really want me to do. And I'm upset, and I'm screaming, and I'm shouting in prayer, like, God, I don't know, am I not hearing you correctly? Is this not the way you want me to go? And then flipped all of that, about a year later, we believe that God told us to move back to Atlanta. We just felt that urge. We felt compelled to. We moved back to Atlanta. And then in 2012, it was like August, September 2012. I never forget, I was praying, and I felt compelled like, you need to start the church in Atlanta. And I remember thinking, I can't do that, because I don't want to be embarrassed all over again. And if I do this, then I don't want to live that anxiety that I had back then, you know, and going through it and doing this again. Like, God, I don't know if I can put your name to the test again on this, because I feel like I failed, and I feel like I tacked your name onto this. But nevertheless, January 2013, you know, we planted a church here in Atlanta, and then 5 years later, you know, it's still going strong. You know, we've seen a lot of great things, a lot of things happen. But from this process, I've seen that, you know, failure can be a part of your process. That you may feel like, God, you know, I really failed, but I believe through that, I believe that God was wanting to see, would you really be faithful enough to, would you be faithful enough to at least start something, even if you don't see that it's come to the maturity that you wanted to. You know, back then, it taught me something. Even in that moment when I felt like I failed, it taught me that even when I feel like everything else around me has failed, that God is still there, and God is still, you know, reaching out, and God is still saying, you know what, I'm still with you. And whatever has happened, pick up all that junk that you've left, throw all that insecurity out the window, cancel all of your pity parties, because you still have more work to do. I think some other things is in the past 5 years, I've really learned the value of people and how to invest in them. You know, in the past 5 years, I've done some things that I definitely regret. I've said some things that I've definitely regretted. You know, I haven't always treated people the best way that I've known how. And I've learned the power of an apology. I've learned the power of forgiveness. I learned the power of confession. I learned the power of being transparent. I learned the power of just saying, you know what, this is how I've acted, and I know that is not becoming of me. And I've learned the power of and the value of people, and really respecting them, and understanding who they are, and understanding the value of them really helps me to understand how I cannot allow for them to now influence my behavior, or better yet, try to manipulate me into being someone that I'm not. Because if you understand the value of others, then obviously you understand the value of self. Now, you know, that does not mean that I don't serve them in excellence, but it does mean that I cannot allow for their actions or their behavior to somehow come and affect me and what I believe that God is telling for me to do. I can't allow for their ways to come and try to, you know, well, you know, this is how I feel, and I feel like you need to do everything like this, because if you don't do stuff like this, I'm going to be mad at you. You know, in the past 5 years of pastoring, there have been times where I've had pockets of people in the church who thought things should go a certain way. And there was one particular time where I would bend toward, you know, the way that they saw things, because typically the minority voice becomes the loudest voice. And you, as a leader, sometimes you forget that you're serving the masses. You're not just serving just the loud minority. And typically we try to please the loud minority. I mean, typically it's the one or two people who are shouting the loudest, who don't like you. And those are typically the voices that you hear the most. And then you forget about the 99 to 98 who are like, no, keep going. We need this. We need this. But it's usually that pocket of people. And there was a time in ministry where I looked at that pocket of people and I said, this pocket of people, I'm going to cater to them. And I didn't realize that in the process of catering to that pocket of people, that I was losing the others who were saying, why are you dealing with them? That's just a small minority. When we're here, we're ready to learn, we're ready to be encouraged, we're ready to move up into the next level of living. So I had to learn how to navigate that. And oftentimes a lot of things can be learned by reading books. I'm a big John Maxwell leadership book reader. Yeah, I like reading books on leadership, but the issue is that a lot of things in life are best learned through experience. You don't have to learn it all through experience. I think a warning is much better than a consequence. You don't have to learn it all through experience. You can have somebody to navigate and walk those aisles for you and with you. But a lot of things we learn through experience, and by experiencing those things, now I know how to navigate those waters differently. That although it may be the 4 or 5 people who are screaming the loudest, that loud majority, or that loud, you know, minority that's screaming the loudest, I know how to deal with them. And I know how to now showcase and tell them their value, instead of trying to deal with them while I'm trying to, you know, just kind of push away the majority who are like, although we're silent, we're telling you that we're with you, and we're ready to move forward. I think the last one that I would say that I learned in the past 5 years is that you have to learn how to enjoy the journey. That's a big piece of life. You know, things happen. life happens. In the past 5 years, it hasn't been the best 5 years. We've had financial hardship. We've gone through, seeing people die, seeing people leave. I feel like now I've been stabbed in the back, I've been stabbed in the front, been stabbed everywhere else. But those things happen. If you are going to lead, if you're going to be a leader in life, then you have to pay the toll of being disliked. If you're going to travel down the road of leadership, you got to pay the toll of being disliked. If you're going to travel down the road of leadership, you got to pay the toll of being uncomfortable. If you're going to travel down the road of leadership, you have to pay the toll of being adaptable and learning how to adapt in certain situations. But ultimately, you have to learn how to sit back at times and enjoy the journey. I like to take Mondays to relax, not necessarily to think too much or to do many things. I want to take Monday to really relax. I still want to enjoy the journey. I want to enjoy the life that God has given me. The thing I know about Scripture, the thing I've learned about God is that He truly desires for us to have life and to have it more abundantly. Notice it does not say that He desires for us to have church and have church more abundantly. But now we can allow for our temple worship to now be a part of our life that we enjoy. He does not say I desire for you to have prayer and have prayer more abundantly. But we can allow for our time in prayer to now be a part of our life that we do enjoy, which in turn allows for us to enjoy prayer. He doesn't say I desire for you to eat food and to eat food more enjoyably. But He says no, you can bring your time of communion, you can bring your time of fellowship in, and you can enjoy life while enjoying those things. But ultimately, we have to learn how to start enjoying the journey. In America, even in our community, even the people that we're around, we have technology galore with all the friends and followers and stuff like that we have on social media and all the likes and all that kind of stuff that you can get. And you go on Facebook and you have all these thousands of friends, and can you believe that people still feel alone and that leaders still feel like they're all by themselves? They feel like nobody else is around me. You have all of these millions of followers, all these thousands of people who are listening to you, and you still feel like you're all by yourself. Even in a technological age where we can reach out and we can touch somebody through a push of a button. Not physically, but nowadays we can travel from one side of the country to the next. But even in that, our communication level is so shallow that we don't even communicate one with another anymore. We don't take our grievances and our offenses to our brother and our sister anymore. That now we'd rather just talk about it, tweet about it, post about it, instead of just going to them, because we don't know how to communicate with each other. And that's a part of the journey that we're missing. We're missing this authentic relationship, not just with God, but with this authentic relationship with each other. We're missing it because we're not enjoying the process. We're not enjoying the people we're around. We're not enjoying the family we're around because we're too busy worried about the people who are outside, that loud minority who's talking about you, and you don't even realize the people who are right there in the room, they love you. And those are the people that you should be focused on. But you have to learn how to enjoy the journey. And in this past 5 years, and since 2009 when I started preaching, I've had to learn how to enjoy the journey. Each step of the process, as Paul puts it, learning how to be content. He said, I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to abound. I know what it feels like to abase. I know what it feels like to be up. I know what it feels like to be down. I know what it feels like to be on the mountaintop, and I definitely know what it feels like to be in the valley. But you know what? I have to learn how to be content, whether I'm on the mountaintop or whether I'm on the valley. Because if I'm on the mountaintop, that means I may be up there by myself, because everybody doesn't go up there. If I'm in the valley, that may mean that there are many nights that I may spend by myself, and it may be lonely. Or maybe down there with other people who have very low thinking, and they may be thinking in a way that's like, why do you guys think like this? Come on, let's rise up higher. But no matter where you are, whether you're abounding or you're abasing, you have to learn how to be content, and that's not always easy. Especially in a world that's constantly telling you need new. You need a new you need a new this, you need a new that, and your food is horrible, and everything you do is not good, and you need to exercise more, and you don't look good, and I don't care how much makeup you put on your face, you need to put more on your face. I don't care what you do, you'll never be a good father, because you need to be a better father, and you got to be a better this and better that, and everybody's after a better, and nobody's enjoying the journey and enjoying the process. People want to get on the elevator. They want to go from the bottom storage closet all the way up to the CEO's office immediately, overnight, and they're not enjoying the journey. They're not recognizing that progress and success is a staircase. It's a journey. It's a level. It's from faith to faith. It's not It's not, man, it's not this elevator type of mentality. Let me just get it tomorrow because I think I need it. I think I want it. I think because when I finally get it, it's going to be something that I want. Because I tell people all the time, be cautious and be very careful that you want the light to shine on you. Because when the light shines on you, it shines on every area of your life. And if popularity, fame, and riches, if they were so great and people, and if they were so good to us, then I hate to tell you this, but rich people, popular people, famous people, that they would just be happy. And that's not always the case. That's not always the case. In some, you know, very wealthy suburban neighborhoods that you would think these people must have it together. They have very nice cars in their garage. They have huge homes, but they still feel lonely. They're popping pills every night because those things are not the answer. But when you can finally sit back and you can finally say, you know what? I'm content in my relationship with the Lord. I guess I have ambition. Yeah, I desire to do what He's called for me to do. Yeah, I desire to fulfill my ministry that He's given me. But what I don't desire to do is I don't desire to live above my means. I don't desire to live above, to allow somebody to pressure me in being or becoming someone that I'm not. I'm going to enjoy the journey that I'm in right now while still pressing and progressing and working out my own salvation. But I've had to learn how to enjoy the journey. Ultimately, it's been a great 5 years, and I've enjoyed every last bit of it. And I just pray that whatever that God is telling you to do, I pray that you continue to go on, because I guarantee you this, and you can mark my words this, because I'm a living testimony of this. I don't care who you are. 1 Cornelius chapter 1 says that God takes those who are lowborn and insignificant. He takes those to put the wise to shame. God does a good job in all that He does, because all that He does is good. And He takes those who He knows will have faith and who will trust Him. And I guarantee you this, that God can take you, and if you just stay faithful along the journey, that there's somebody on the other side of your obedience who can benefit from all that God has called for you to do. Yesterday at the church service, or at our 5th year church anniversary service, I was looking out at people who have been impacted because in 2009 I didn't leave the vision in my journal, but I was able to see it come to life. And I pray that that becomes your reality too. So whatever God has told you to do, whatever He's called for you to do, I hope with everything within me that you fulfill it in the way that He desires. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you, and don't forget to subscribe. God bless you.